Welcome to Lawmen, a podcast about local legends and obscure curiosities from days of yore. I'm James Shakeshaft.
And I'm Alistair Beckett-King.
Hey, Alistair, it's the most romantic time of the year.
Every podcast with you is the most romantic time of the year, James.
Well, this is the most Welshly romantic time of the year.
I see where this is going.
Of course, it is. It's Welsh Valentines. And it's the Welsh Valentine special.
Does that mean it's the return of regular Deputy Welsh law person, Jenny Collier?
Oh, of course it is. And we got some more from the MabiSNOGion. Psst, Alistair.
Yes, James.
I'm doing we've got a deputy guest law person whisper.
And I'm already excited. Who is it?
You would never guess who.
I might guess who.
Do you remember what time of year it is?
It's the most romantic time of year.
Exactly. It's coming up for Welsh Valentines.
It's Welsh Valentine's Day, almost.
And we've got our Welsh/Valentines/ deputy law person, Jenny Collier, right here. Welcome back,
Yes.
Jenny.
Hello, thanks for having me back. Happy Valentine's Day.
Hi, Jenny. Thank you for coming back.
Happy Welsh Valentine's Day to you too. How are you doing? We haven't spoken to you since Christmas Pig.
Yeah, it feels like it was a couple of weeks ago. Getting into the swing of my internet setup.
Oh, yeah.
Just as in, I've found somewhere to sit and do this.
But Jenny, come on. We haven't got time for such chit-chat and flim-flam.
Yeah.
We've got a Welsh Valentine story to got, haven't we?
Yeah. We've got a very romantic longy.
Lay it on me, because so far, I mean, you've done this about 9 times to me, and they haven't been romantic once. They've all been horrible.
Yeah.
Almost always. Some poor Welsh waif dies, gets swept out to sea, or stuck in a tree or something.
Well, I think, spoiler, I think this one is sponsored by toxic masculinity.
Oh, no.
Like a Sesame Street episode. This excerpt of the Mabinogion is brought to you by toxic masculinity.
Oh, yeah.
Masculinity. I can't even say it. And I forgot that we'd rechristened the Mabinogion, I think last year, the MabiSNOGion.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was so blooming romantic.
Oh, yeah. I'm proud of that. If it was me.
It was, and you should be proud.
You got your knowledge from Cliff's Notes.
I did.
Didn't you?
I managed to find a Cliff's Notes on what we're talking about, Alistair. Can you imagine?
Who is Cliff?
It's Cliff Richard.
It's Cliff Richard.
Yeah, it's Cliff Richard.
And he's had time to write all of those notes.
Yeah, he's quite old, and that's what he did instead of like partying and being like a hellraiser.
Ah. Well, that has added an interesting facet to Mr. Clean Cut's reputation.
Yeah, he's read everything. He's got opinions about all GCSE level books. Is it just American Cliff's Notes?
I think there's also York Notes by the actor Michael York.
Really?
Presumably.
I thought it was a tie into the Yorkie bar. And they were underneath the label on the back. You had to flip it open and you get facts about Henry V, part Henry V. There's only one part of that one.
Yeah, Cliff's Notes is a bit more soap opera-y than my source.
Oosh, what's that?
So your source is the Mabinogion, the book itself, the real deal.
Is this going to be all your own opinions? Not the opinions of 50s songster Cliff Richard. If Americans don't know who Cliff Richard is, he's not our Elvis. But boy, would he love to be. He's like a Christian, not Elvis.
Yeah, so they make assumptions in the Cliff's Notes that certain things were for reasons that aren't given in the book.
Right.
And so it confused me a little bit when I read, because I read your thing after I read mine. Anyway.
You formed your own opinions.
I did form my own opinions. I mean, all roads lead to Geraint is a toxic ass.
Yes. Well, what's the story then? We should probably let Alistair and the listeners know what element of the MabiSNOGion we're MabiSNOGion today.
I can't wait.
So Geraint and Enid. Oh, I should have let you say how you would have said the names.
I do know it's Geraint.
Yeah.
Because of the cyclist Geraint Thomas. So actually, I think it's Geraint, and I would have said Enid.
So it's Enid, not Enid.
Well, I think it's Enid because I knew someone called Enid in my primary school's mum was called Enid, and we called her Enid. I don't know if we were doing so correctly. I went out with somebody called Geraint, and this was in the early noughties when negging was having its time in the sun. And his opening line to me was, "My mother was the same, yeah, short and stumpy." And I was instantly obsessed.
What?
Yeah.
It worked.
Wow. I mean, that reflects badly upon him, but also quite badly upon you that you were impressed.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it was all we knew back then, wasn't it? Say something horrible to her and she'll be putty in your hands.
So I will have to remember to describe you as that in the blurb for this episode. Johnny Collier brackets, short and stumpy. So I don't know why I said it in that voice. That's not a Welsh accent.
Asterisk, like Geraint's mum.
Short and stumpy.
Short and stamper.
Short and stumpy.
We're now negging him from a distance of 20 years.
Yeah, take that, some Welsh teen.
So yeah, Geraint and Enid. Shall I talk about how they met?
Yeah. Well, the way I'm introduced to that as a flashback.
Yeah, you are. That's Cliff for you, being all Hollywood.
I think mine's like the Tennyson poem version,
Okay.
rather than the original red or white book of the Mabinogion translation.
Sure.
But yeah, hit it.
Okay. Well, so they met because, quite long-windedly, Gwenhwyvar, guess who that is?
Guinevere. I said it wrong with excitement. Guinevere off of the King Arthur story.
Yeah. So she was about to go out to a hunt with Arthur and all of their retinue.
Because this is, of course, King Arthur times.
King Arthur times, yeah. It was in that era. They were about to go out and try to hunt really dramatically white and desirable stag that was afoot. And so they all went out for a hunt, and then they didn't wake up Gwenhwyvar. So she wakes up in the morning, she's like, "Oh, I wanted to go to that hunt." And then she's like, "He didn't wake me up, and I told him to wake me up." So she's like berating Arthur. And she's like, "Right, I'm going to go on my own." And then as she's about to go, she bumps into a knight, enormous in size, auburn head, bare-legged, noble squire.
Bare-legged squire.
Yeah, so a short-swearing 90s surfer dude called Geraint.
Geraint.
And he's got a gold-hilted sword, brocaded silk boots of Cadovan leather. Remember them?
Yes. Horsebum, right?
Yeah.
Horsebum, yeah.
Horsebum leather.
Yeah. And a mantle of blue, purple with a golden apple in each corner.
Ooh, what's a mantle? Wait a minute, doesn't that go over a fire?
Yeah, imagine how tough he would be to be holding a whole marble mantelpiece on his shoulders with an apple balanced on either end, James.
He'd just been to the Met Gala and that's what he was wearing. And so Gwenhwyvar is like, "Oh, I recognized you the moment I saw you because the mantelpiece that you're wearing. Yeah, it's just your vibe." And then he's like, "They didn't wake me up either." So it's a little bit like they've just been left out. So the two of them are like, "Right, let's go and do this hunt."
It's a classic meet cute.
Yeah, well, those two aren't going to get it on.
What?
But they're like...
Oh, is that Gwenhwyvar?
Gwenhwyvar. It's so hard to remember how to say her name. Gwenhwyvar.
Gwenhwyvar.
I'm going to just not remember it, I think. I'll just not remember. And just say it differently every time.
Have you seen the TikToks of people trying to read and then when you can't pronounce the name and so you're like, and then he walked up to him and then so in your head that's how you read it. So they're like, "Right, we can enjoy the hunt just as easily without actually being there because we'll hear when the hounds are released and they do the bop bop, and so we can just like join the hunt from like afar and hourly."
Yeah, we've got the hunt at home. We don't need to be there on the hunt. We could just hear the events of the hunt, like listening to football on the radio.
And so they're like, "Right, we're going to listen to this hunt." And they're there with a maiden, like a maidservant of Gwenhwyvar's. And then while they're going along, they come across a dwarf, a knight, and a lady, all on horseback.
It's the original odd triple.
Odd thruple.
Oh, that is a really good idea for a film. You should make a film called The Odd Thruple.
The original Odd Thruple.
Can I tell you, I went to a pub quiz last week with my two friends, Caitlin and Caitlin, who are married to each other.
What?
And
What?
Yeah.
I guess it isn't confusing for them.
It's not confusing. It's really confusing.
They do sound like a law firm. No, sorry, Caitlin, I'm having a pop at you. I'm not even trying to neg you.
Well, we called our team name Thruple Threat.
Oh,
that
great
is
name.
nice.
Thanks.
Very
Thanks.
nice.
And when they called it out at the end, all the other tables were like, what's going on over there? Anyway, sorry. The odd thruple, Dwarf Knight and the lady, and Gwenhwyvar is like, right, go and find out who they are. Because the knight is they can't recognize him because he's got such a large amount of armor and helmetry. He's unrecognizable. Yeah. So she sends her maiden to go and ask who they are. And the dwarf is like, I will not tell you who the knight is. The maiden goes, well, I'll just go and ask him myself then. And the dwarf goes, no, you won't, because you're not of the status that is proper to talk to him, basically saying she's too lowly. And then she points her horse towards the knight, like she's going to go to the knight, and the dwarf whips her in the face and eyes until her face bleeds. And so she goes back to them, and she's like, this is what just happened. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, quite right.
This isn't very romantic so far.
No. It
Did you not hear about the Odd Thruple?
Oh, no, I forgot about that. We all enjoyed that.
Geraint goes, sorry, I'm on first syllable terms with him already. Geraint goes up and has the same interaction with the dwarf, and the dwarf whips him in the eyes as well.
This is like a David Lynch film in honor of the late David Lynch more than it is a romantic story of Welsh legend. This is horrible.
Yeah, it is quite horrible. And he can't even get his revenge once that's just happened because he's not wearing any armor. He's still in his shorts, probably.
And fireplace.
Yeah, he's like, I can't go up there with my mantelpiece aloft.
Hawaiian fireplace. Because he's a surfer.
So then he's like, right, I'm going to deal with this once I've got some armor on. So he goes, I'm not going to test myself against the knight until I've got armor. So they go into a town nearby, follow the thruple, and they see that the thruple get like a really rousing welcome from all the townsfolk, and all the shops and buildings are full of people burnishing swords and polishing shields. And they're like, what the devil's going on here?
The hunt is completely forgotten at this point.
They've forgotten about the hunt.
And now their main interest is finding out who this mystery knight is.
Just getting revenge and getting an apology from this guy.
So just so I understand, who got whipped in the face? Geraint and
the maidservant. Gwenhwyvar.
Oh, Gwenhwyvar's maidservant. I forgot that there was a maidservant. Right.
So Guinevere, if you prefer to call her, is thus far unwhipped in the face. Actually, she remains unwhipped in the face. She gets quite an easy ride in this story. Anyway.
Spoiler alert.
And so they find one place in the town that isn't full and that will let them in. And it's really dilapidated. It's a dilapidated hall with a grey-haired man who said that, well, you can come in here. And then there's a kind of elderly woman who he's like, oh, you can tell that she used to be fit. And then...
So it says that in the Mabinogion, that you can tell she used to be fit.
You can tell, I can't remember the exact words, but it's like, you can tell that in the flourishes of youth that she would have got it.
I think that's Cliff's notes.
But then the child, well, she's not a child, she's a young woman who's the child of those two people. He describes, he's never seen any maiden more perfect as regards beauty and elegance and grace than she. And that is such a chortle review of the thing where you can't quote it.
It's not expressed with the fiery passion of the heart to be like, she's fairly attractive vis-a-vis the face and also with regards to the body. Personality-wise, well, you be the judge. You know,
Oh, there's no mention of the personality.
It read like a 4.
It was a very crowd pleasing
Face.
3.5. The useless 0.5, worth nothing to anyone.
Make it 10, Steve.
And then the man says to his daughter, "There is no groom for this squire's horse tonight apart from you." And she says, "I shall give the best service that I can, both to him and his horse."
Wait, did she say it in the voice that you used there? Is that accurate? Did she say it as saucily as that?
Well, I mean, she could have said it in "I shall give him the best service that I can, both to him and his horse."
No, it still came out really saucy. It's impossible to say it not saucy. It's saucy in every voice. James, you say it. Is it still saucy when you say it?
Well, I shall give him the best. I shall give him and his horse quite the seeing to. It's gone a bit weird towards the end. I shall give his horse quite a service.
These are now the 3 voices I'm using in my head for this role.
Oh, let me do one more. Let me do the North Wales accent, because that might be the accent that it was done in. Maybe. "I shall give the best service that I can, both to him and his horse." Okay, that's completely asexual.
No, that was not sexy in the slightest. Well done.
That's like, my saddle's going to be gleaming, and I don't mean that as a euphemism.
I'm not going to mince words here. I think that's the least sexy thing we've had on the podcast, and that is a hotly contested field.
Cantrell's coming back.
Is he? He said he wasn't.
And so then she gets sent into town to go and get provisions for them. And she goes into town and she brings back a flagon of mead, a quarter of a young bullock.
No. Depending on which voice you do it in, could be.
Classic not checking if he's doing dry Jan or if he's a vegan.
Do you know which quarter it was? Front, left?
Offside left. Offside rear. Sorry.
Every 4th cell. White bread and a loaf of wheat in case he's celiac. No, in the hope that he's not.
In case he's celiac and she's trying to make him quite ill.
She hits the jackpot. He loves all of those things. They chat about the night. So he tells them about the thing that happened with the throuple.
Yeah.
And then they're like, right, we need to help you get revenge. And the way you can maybe so the night that you met is, I think, and I don't know if you got this, James, the knight is the nephew of the dilapidated man.
Yes.
The man in the dilapidated house.
Yes.
So the guy who's got the dwarf and the lady with him, he stole the kingdom and earldom from the grey-haired man, was my understanding.
Yeah, basically, he's being quite tyrannical,
yes,
is what I understood.
Yeah.
And he is, do we know his nickname at this point? Is that from the original one, or is that just Cliff Richard's imaginings?
I think it's Cliff Richard's imaginings. What did you get?
Well, he was called Sparrowhawk.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Oh, great name for a usurper, Sparrowhawk.
One of his sort of conditions of being beaten was that you would also find out his real name. And he had a bit of a Rumpelstiltskin vibe about him or whatever.
So is Sparrowhawk just a sort of street name or an online username? Right.
But he's got a whole game that he plays with people that involves a Sparrowhawk. So what he does is he gets 2 forks and puts them in the ground.
All these things have to rhyme in the game. Sparrowhawks, forks. You have to use a lot of talk.
Then you get a silver rod, which is not to prod.
Nice.
Prod you not.
With the rod.
And then whoever wins the dueling, the Sparrowhawk, I don't know, the Sparrowhawk lands on the rod and then it gets given to whoever wins the joust, gets the Sparrowhawk and gives it to the woman they love the most.
Yes.
Romantic.
Yes.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah, I love to be given a bird of prey.
Yeah. Isn't it the most romantic gift? And so you can only compete in the games if you bring a woman.
Romantic.
What's the price of entry is a woman?
Well, you have to have somebody to give the Sparrowhawk to. if you win.
Oh, of course. It's one of those situations. I got to go to the big joust, but I need a date.
Yeah, exactly. And so once they tell the couple and the young lady about the insult, they were like, you got to go to the games. And you know what? You can have my weapons and my armor and my horse and my daughter. And so Enid, the daughter
can be. So is Enid the name of that saucy groomsmaid? Right.
The person whom one would have to say has grace and elegance. With aplomb. Right, daybreak, we're going to go out. We're going to go and do this games. And so they get there, and then he's wearing this weird, like, dilapidated armor. And then he jousts with Sparrowhawk Man, and they break 4 sets of lances in their dueling. So each time they break it, and then they get brought new ones, and then they break it, new ones. And then the old man comes over and he goes, I'll give you my lance. And these were the lance that I got given when I was ordained as a knight. Don't give him that. Look how he's treated the other lances. That's like an important lance. I keep that one for special. He goes, it's got an excellent head to it.
Did the woman say that in the voice?
It's got some excellent head to it. It's got an excellent head to it. And so he gets knocked off his horse. He knocks the Sparrowhawk off his horse.
Yes, get in.
And they rounded on each other with swords. And then the vision was impaired from all the sweat and blood. Romantic. And then the grey-haired man saw that Geraint had received a mighty, harsh blow. And so he comes up to him and he goes, keep in mind the insult. Because it was before when he got the insult.
Yeah.
And then that made Geraint go, right, okay, yeah, you're right. And so he raised his sword and struck the knight on top of his head. So his armor shatters, flesh splits, pierces the bone. And then the man falls on his knees and throws sword away and asks for mercy. And he's like, I'll make amends for my insult. And then Geraint is like, who are you? And he said, I'm Adairn, son of Neve. His story so far.
What? Sorry, I don't know who that guy is. This is like when I listen to a long-running podcast and they reveal who a character is that you're supposed to remember from 20 episodes ago. Have we met this guy yet? Do I know who that is?
And they should have known his name anyway, because he was the nephew, wasn't he? He was the nephew of the old guy. They could have just told him the name earlier on. Defeated, was it Edrin, son of North?
Neath.
Edrin, son of Neath. Defeated. Defeated.
So Geraint gets invited into the castle that night, but he's like, no, I'll actually go back to the castle, the dilapidated one with the fit woman, who's in like shabby clothes, because they're all in sort of shabby clothes, and because they had all everything taken away from them. If you can't handle me at my shabby, rotted through pits clothes, you don't deserve me at my. Somebody bought me some clothes without rotted pits.
Do they rot from the pits? Is that where clothes begin to rot?
I don't know. I've just heard.
Speak for yourself.
No, it sounds like a lot of your clothes have rotted out from the pits. From what you're saying,
I have rotted out from the pits.
Is that because when you see shabby clothes in medieval dramas, they tend to get ragged from like the bottom or have like some tasteful tears in them.
Depends what's going on with your bottom.
There's not a lot of emphasis on the pits.
Yeah, that's true. Mine have got crispy under the pits. I hope it's from the deodorant.
That's from deodorant, yeah.
Thank goodness.
But then I think the crispiness, when you wash it, then that...
Not producing crisps.
Pit crisps. But then that crispiness makes it, when you wash it maybe, it wears away quicker. And then that's when you get the little holes that make it look like you've been acid rained on the pits.
Yeah, okay, yes. No, yeah, okay, yeah.
Maybe it's because some of my clothes are 30 years old and people back then didn't have the life expectancy, did they?
Well, in the 90s.
So their clothes wouldn't have maybe lasted as long.
In the 90s?
Yeah, that's true, yes.
Oh, right. People back then in the medieval times, right?
Yeah.
This isn't even medieval times, is it? This is much longer ago than that. Also, it didn't happen. So there's two reasons that it was a long time ago.
I've still got a t-shirt from the 90s that I wear that hasn't rotted at the pits, just for balance.
Good.
Thank you.
So he falls in love with her despite her
rotten clothes. Yeah, he's like, I don't want to go to the castle where I've been privilegedly invited. I want to go back to the ship place.
To this humble hottie's house.
Yeah. And so they're like, okay, well, we'll bring all the food and wine and everything to there. Geraint's like, let the maiden wear nothing but her smock and linen mantle. So she's got they've made for each other because they're both wearing their mantles.
Twin fireplaces.
A linen mantle sounds like a fire waiting to happen.
That's dangerous, yes.
Because he's so determined for Gwenhwyvar to dress his bride in her clothes. And I like, you know, when you start going out with somebody and they've got this really close female friend. So if a boy has got a really close female friend, you're like, red flag, actually. And this, so before he's even met Enid, Geraint is like, right, I'm off to avenge you guys. And Gwenhwyvar is like, oh, if you meet a woman, make sure you let me dress her for your wedding. And I would be like, tapping out, actually. Just marry Gwenhwyvar if you want. Anyway, so she stays in her smock and everything. And then the Unwyl, which is the grey-haired man, he gets all the land relinquished to him. And so that then it's all back his again. So that's nice, I think. I got that. And that's Geraint's adventure so far. That's what the book keeps saying. It's like, the story so far. I can't stop saying it. I'm sorry. We're going to be here all night. Sorry. No, we're nearly halfway. So him and the lady and the dwarf go to Arthur's court to go and apologise to Gwenhwyvar because they've apologised to Geraint by having their head split open. And so now they have to just go and try and do it with words, actually, hopefully, at Arthur's court. Then Geraint and Enid come back. And so they're all at Arthur's court and they're like, oh, we're going to be together now. And so Arthur and Gwenhwyvar give Enid to Geraint. Shouldn't it be their parents? I mean, should it be anybody?
Romance.
Does any woman really need to be given to somebody?
Hey, good point. Yeah. Well done, Jenny.
But do they not only give her away? They make up a bed in their room for them to sleep together in, which I'm going to say creepy.
Yeah, that's definitely creepy.
Sorry. In King Arthur and Gwenhwyvar's own room, they make up a spare bed.
To be their nuptial
in
bed.
that room, to be the maritable bed, to be the maritable nuptial bed.
It doesn't really elaborate on that, so who knows what's going on. Maybe they're just like, look at these clowns with their mantles. They don't know what they're up to. We'll show them a thing or two. I don't know. Who knows?
That's going to put a damper on things, I think.
Yeah. I mean, maybe they just did the thing where they gave up their room and they went to a smaller room. But the fact that it mentions it, I'm like, anyway. Oh, so then they sleep together. And they have 3 years delightful courtship. Well, not courtship, wedded bliss. And they're just like in bed all the time. And Geraint loves his tournaments and his hard combat. So that's all fine for 3 years. And then this is where Cliff Notes argues a bit with what Mabinogion says.
Oh, yeah.
But so I heard that after 3 years, messages from Erbin down in Cornwall come up. And they're like, listen, Erbin is drawing close to old age and he wants Geraint to come and protect the boundaries rather than doing all his unprofitable tournaments. And because he's like the nephew, so it's kind of his land a bit.
No, yeah. I think the Cliff Notes are for the Tennyson poem and they have it round a bit of a different way.
They make out like people were like, we've got to give this lad something to do. Oh, come down to Cornwall. But they don't actually need him. But in this, they do need him.
My understanding was that it was around this time that the Lancelot and Guinevere story broke amongst the court in quite the sort of, I don't know if we can use the term Agatha Christie because I think it is genuinely copyrighted.
I think it is copyrighted, but I don't think it's copyrighted by the person who came up with it, is it?
No, it's copyrighted by the person it was said about.
Oh,
that's the quite clever thing of irony.
Rebecca Vardy, she coined it. She is making the money from every time.
So that whenever anyone refers, she gets money, and also she can limit when it's used.
So if I trademarked like Ginger Jesus in that exact tone of voice, then every time someone said that in the street, I'd be like, money. You actually are infringing on my copyrights. You will be receiving a strongly worded letter.
Cease and desist.
Sir! I did when I was younger. I feel like now I'm kind of a grown-up now, and I feel people don't yell things at grown-ups as much as they do when you're younger. I I was going to say I look exactly the same. I don't. I look haggard, but with pretty much the same hair.
No. You just have an air of don't mess with me, maybe, that you didn't previously have.
Yeah, exactly. They know that I have been working out. I have done in the 20 years that have passed numerous push-ups. You wouldn't. I don't even know how many. It could easily double figures. So I'm pretty dangerous.
But yeah, so what I heard is that because there was the stories of the Lancelot and Guinevere story, Geraint had become quite obsessed and quite jealous that Enid was going to cheat on him, and because nearby another woman might have been cheating. And he was like, we need to move to Devon, which I guess is, despite your accent work, the least sexual county.
We need to go somewhere where all the guys are really unattractive. Devon.
Yeah. They moved to Devon and tried to protect the borders. And so everybody was really sad to see Enid go because everybody loved her. And then they got settled in, and then he started getting into his tournaments again. He started enjoying relaxation and leisure after all that, because he spent so much time in bed, and they had a bit of a Yoko Ono situation where they just spent loads of time in bed. There was no one worth fighting. And so he just stayed in his chamber alone with his wife, and he started losing his affection of his noblemen, and people started murmuring and mocking him.
Oh, you like your wife? Oh,
well, I think he was quite jealous. He was quite jealous of his wife. So he was kind of keeping an eye on her, that she wasn't gonna, romance, romantic stuff.
Yeah.
Checking her text.
Yeah. And then in the night one day, or one morning, when she was awake and he was asleep, he was there lying asleep, and a little bit of the duvet had come away from his nipples, and she was looking at him going, "Oh, I feel so bad that people are mocking and murmuring about him." And then she says, "Woe is me if it is on my account that these arms and chest are losing the fame and prowess they once possessed." And then she cried onto him, and then that woke him up as well as the words. And the last words he heard made him go, "What, you fancy other men?"
Oh, no.
We've all had Valentine's days like this. Why are you flirting with the waiter?
Why are you crying on my chest?
This is a horribly insecure Geraint.
Yeah, and it's unfortunately an ongoing qualm that he has. He's very insecure, terrible, terrible vibes.
I have a quote that he jumped up and said, "I'm still a warrior despite all rumours, and I will at once go on a quest in order to prove my prowess."
Wow. But when you have to imagine that his willy was out when he said that, it does make it a bit less impressive.
He also said, "I may be effeminate, but I will fight this next battle with iron." And then he throws down his purse. And that's actual
Chucks
quotes.
his money away. It's, in The Simpsons when Homer goes to clown school and he just sort of stands up from the table, is like, "I've had enough. I'm going to go to clown school. I prepared nothing."
Yes.
I haven't seen that one.
Good. It's a good
It's
episode. Homer the Clown. Pause the podcast, go watch it, everyone.
Origin of the classic line, "I'm seeing double here, 4 crusties," which in context is very funny.
The quest. Are we into the quest? Yeah.
Wait. There's a quest that hasn't begun yet.
So Geraint tosses down his purse and he goes, "Look, I'm going to fight with some iron." Or I don't know really what the quest is, actually. It doesn't specify, but he says, "Right, I'm
going out.
Put on your worst dress." He tells her to put on her worst dress. But it's like, you fancied her in her rags. So really, what are you playing at? But they go out and he says, "Go out ahead of me and keep a good lead and don't utter a single word." And he's like, unless I speak to you, you're not speaking. Not ideal. And then as they're going along, she overhears 4 knights going, "Oh, let's fight. Let's go and fight him. Look at that downcast, solitary, melancholy, listless knight." Slagging him off. But Enid, because she's ahead, she can hear. And so she goes back, and because they're like, "Oh, we'll beat him up and we'll get all his armor and horses and we'll have the woman." And so Enid goes back to Geraint and she tells him, and then he's like, "Your words mean nothing to me."
So rude. Because he's like, I told you not to say anything, actually.
Told you not to say a word and you're just saying things. And then he comes to these 4 knights and then he kills all of them nonchalantly. And then, so now he's got 4 horses and 4 sets of shiny new armor, and he gets her to walk ahead again with all the horses and all the stuff. And I think the dead knights too.
You have to assume.
It would be easy. It's the easiest way to carry armor, I suppose. Will be still on the dead knight rather than having to deconstruct it like a big box of Lego and sort of carry that.
Yeah, so she's going ahead with all this stuff, and then she sees another 3 knights, and they call him drooping, dejected knight, and that they're going to have the woman and 3 sets of free armor, as well as killing him and a woman.
Okay.
So she goes back and she's like, look, there's these 3 knights have just said this. Between me and God, more tiresome to me than the men's words is the fact that you will not keep quiet for me. He kills those 3. So now they've got 7 bodies, 7 sets of armor, 7 horses. They come across 5 more knights.
What? I didn't see there was 5 more.
Yeah, there's 5 more.
What could possibly happen here?
You'll never guess. They call him solitary, spineless, sluggish, and sorrowful. And she goes back and tells him. And then he's just like, why are you talking to me? And this is like me with Alexander from The Traitors, because I heart all his stories. And he's just like, why are you talking? Just leave me alone. And so now they've got 12 bodies, 12 horses, load of all this. And they get to the Earl's lodging.
Earl Lemurs?
Yeah.
It's Devonian, Dorset, or Cornwall, because it's described as being bandit country adjoining to Devon. I'm guessing that's Dorset, the wretched hive of scum and villainy. Earl Lemurs.
Ollie Moores. Ollie Murs?
Early Murs.
Ollie Murs. Yeah.
So Ollie Murs gets them to come in and like stay with them. But he fancies Enid. He says, you spin me right round. I don't know. What's Ollie Murs' song? What's Ollie Murs'?
I just said a noise. I don't even know if that's a person.
I'm going to have to look it up. He just wanted to dance with her tonight. And there was that time when he caused problems in central London because he thought there was a terrorist attack. Those are the 2 things I remember about him.
Oh, yes, I did hear about that. He tweeted there'd been a terrorist attack, but it turned out nothing had happened. Yes, this is how I know who he is.
Okay, so anyway, I thought there was a song about, but anyway, to just depict.
He said that his heart skipped a beat when he saw her.
Yes, that's the one.
Yes.
I knew it was something to do with the record, but as discussed, I'm an old lady, so I had a different reference from the 80s. But anyway, so he lets them come in and he looks after them, but he's like, I'm going to get with Enid. And so he's like trying to get off with her. And she's like, no, I'm not even slightly interested.
You know, Cliff Richard puts another wrinkle on this. I think this must be from the Tennyson poem. There's an extra wrinkle to the whole Ollie Murs situation.
Oh, yeah.
Cliff Richard's wrinkles. A new section of the show.
Just work on the jingle.
Earl Lemurs, which does sound like I'm saying Ollie Murs in a posh voice. Earl Lemurs was one of her exes, was Enid's ex.
Yes, a previous suitor.
Oh, Geraint isn't going to take this very well. He's already...
I think he'll be fine. Gulp.
He said to her when Geraint's back was turned, he said, I cannot be pleased. Oh, it cannot be pleasant for you. What kind of journey are you on? And she goes, I prefer to follow that man than to have maidservants. Again, me and Alexander from The Traitors. I prefer to follow him.
Although, to be fair, the first reasonable question anybody has asked in the whole thing, seeing a guy with like 12 corpses behind him and a woman in rags, to be like, what kind of journey are you on? What is where you thought you would need this many corpses?
This is the insight of Ollie Murs. How can we explain Ollie Murs to Americans? Because I would normally have said he's a sub Robbie Williams, but it turns out they don't even know who Robbie Williams is.
Yeah, we'll have to wait until they do a biopic where he's just a dog, maybe, or a Owly Murs. Possible idea for a biopic.
Oh, that
there.
writes itself. Who? Ooh.
You might ask if you didn't know who Ollie Murs was.
He was in Britain's Got Talent or Britain Idol. Britain's Idol.
Britain Idol. I love one of my favourite shows, Britain Idol. Britain has a celebrity. Get me out of here.
She tells him, she goes, right, Ollie Murs, tell you what then, since you cannot be put off, how about you come and get me this time tomorrow? Just take me away. And so he's like, all right then, great. But then she, in the dead of the night, goes to Geraint and goes, look, Ollie Murs is after me. Let's leave crack of dawn, get out of here. And then, so leave. And then flipping Geraint is like, go ahead of me. Don't speak to me. So he's still going on with this.
I must admit, I don't understand her plan. I'm not defending him in any way, but I don't understand why she said that to that man.
Just to get him off her case. I think, because I think
she was like, oh, right, okay, to shut him up. Yes, I'll see you tomorrow. Yeah, I'll take your number.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, exactly. Change a digit. Yeah, change the fact that you're not going to even be at that court in the morning or whenever it is that you're going to,
Right, I see.
So that was the plan. And so they leave. But as they leave, she warns him about something in the mist. And then he says, your warning means nothing to me. So he's still, she's warned him about loads of stuff.
11 people that have tried to attack and kill him.
But I don't know if he's going, I would have just killed them anyway. Like, your words mean nothing to me. And it's more tiresome to have to hear your words. You say it best when you say nothing at all. Romantic.
Is it like he's driving and she's sort of pointing out, like, there's a car. Oh, red light. I got it. Yes, I am driving.
But why is he making her go ahead?
By the way, that was Ronan Keating that Jenny was just singing there, and he would be maybe a stoat, I think.
Yeah. So she's luring, they're coming up from the mist at them.
They're coming through the mist.
He's presumably just, what's going on? Is he going to slay again?
Well, they come across Brenin Buchan. Which translates as Little King. Hey, Short King. Short King.
He's a short king. Oh.
Oh no, to begin with, they come across somebody who says, don't go down there. Brenin Buchan's down there. And he fights everyone he meets. So try and avoid that neck of the woods.
Yeah, short king syndrome, innit?
Yeah.
Not Alexander from the Traitors. Anyway, probably.
He really reminds me of an owlet. Like some of the pictures of an owlet. Anyway,
yes, I love that.
It's a little fling up of a wrist.
No time for fun banter. We've got a story to get through.
Sorry. Yeah. So Geraint is like, I'm going to go whichever the goddamn hell way I want to go. And so he goes down there and then he has a fight. And I think this is a fight with Brenin Buchan. Again, has a fight to the point where the blood and sweat disable his vision.
Maybe he had no eyebrows.
It does sound like he maybe didn't have eyebrows.
That's put a human face sort of on it for me. Someone who also doesn't have eyebrows.
He does his signature move, which is sword to the top of the head, and it does a wound to the bone. Bunch of guys. So Brenin Buchan asks for mercy. Geraint says, you will have my mercy, though you are rude and overbearing. It's like, Geraint is so, like, highly strung that someone's rude and overbearing. He's like, I'm going to make your skull be on display. Then he's left bleeding and uncomfortable. And then they go to Arthur. They finally get to Arthur's court, I think.
Arthur, king.
Yeah.
Not Arthur, the cartoon character.
He goes, oh, Enid, what sort of journey is this? And she says, I do not know, Lord, except that I must travel where my Lord, he travels, on the road he travels. And then they go again on another.
What?
Yeah, they go out again.
I assume that was the end of the journey.
No, there's another journey. And he's like right out ahead of me.
Cliff Richard's notes say that Tennyson sort of excused it by saying that Geraint still loved her so much he was worried that he would say something lovely and he didn't want her to hear, and that's why he made her ride off on her own, which I think is clutching at straws.
Really clutching at straws, because my one has it that he didn't want to say something horrible to her. Like he didn't want to be even toxicer, if possible.
The die-hard romantic that is Cliff Richard. His notes, that's one of Cliff's wrinkles.
And so then they're going along and they find a clearing a clearing on the road, and they hear a scream, a horrible blood-curdling scream. Exactly like that. They find a woman and a dead knight and their horses, and they're like, what's happened here? And the woman goes, man here has just been killed by 3 giants.
There weren't any giants in my story. Cliff Richards did not mention any giants.
A great line if you've ever just been caught having murdered someone, to be like, how's 3 giants just came here and killed that guy? And I was fine. They didn't notice me. But wow, you should have, shame you weren't here a minute ago because you would have seen 3 giants. What? Just a giant. There's 3 of them.
Geraint stabs one of them through the entrails.
Ooh.
Oh.
And then the third one, he stabs him so hard that all his wounds open and blood pours out.
What, any scars that you ever had? Just like even his appendix. Poof.
Yeah.
The one on his knee from the first day of school. Poof.
Oh.
What a disgusting way to kill someone.
Yeah, because Geraint hasn't really painted himself as the greatest guy. But yeah, so the giants all get killed.
Hey, these giants killed that night. Come on. Let's have a bit of balance here. Let's not forget what these giants did.
In the fighting, Geraint gets wounded to the point that beyond he's been wounded before. And then when he catches sight with Enid, they like look at each other, and then Geraint falls off his horse as if dead. Enid is like, no, he's dead. and she's like really sad because she still likes him.
Just like you with Alexander after he'd had that fight with those 3 giants.
Him fighting with Freddie and, well, no, he didn't fight with anybody. He was just a nice man. Just a nice man. The Earl came and then he buried the dead knight, the one with the woman that they found in the clearing. So he buried him.
The Earl Doom.
He is like, I sense that there might still actually be a bit of life left in Geraint. Although he looks dead, I'm getting a vibe that there's some life in him. So they take him back.
Like Princess Bride.
Yeah. And he goes, don't worry, Enid, like we'll get him on the mend. And so they get all these like medical geniuses to look at him, and they're like, he's there unconscious, and they're all the medical staff are doing their best. And this is like just a standard bank holiday in Bangor at the weekend. You're just like wounded, bruised people. You can't tell if they're okay. And then, but the Earl, even though he brought him back to be treated, he's like, Enid is really fine. He's like, oh, come on, just have a little something to eat. Why don't you eat with me? She's like, I will not eat until my Geraint eats. And he's like, just have a little drink then. Just have a little glass of wine. And she's like, I will not drink until he's drinking with me. And then flipping, what's his name? Doom.
It's like Doom, but it's got an R in it.
Doom turns out to be toxic man as well, because he says, well and good. I am no better being kind to you than unkind, and clouts her across the ear.
What?
Bad move, Doom.
Yeah. I mean, I think Enid needs to just take a long, hard look at the men she's hanging out with, move on with her life, and maybe establish some kind of lesbian commune.
Or at the very least, some kind of Ricky Lake intervention is needed at this point.
Is that what Ricky Lake does now? I don't know. I haven't followed her career.
No, I mean back in when these dysfunctional relationships would go on that show. It was just a slightly nicer version of Jerry Springer.
You'd have to have a wide shot for the 3 giants as well, though, wouldn't you?
But yeah, so he's like, I may as well just be horrible to you. Slaps her.
Oosh.
And then she screams, a piercing scream that makes Geraint regain consciousness. And then he gets his sword. Where do you think he hits the man?
All of his wounds.
Why change something that works?
Top of his head. And then he brought the sword down on him until the table was what stopped the sword. So that's how, like,
that's gone through quite a lot of man.
Yeah. So Durham has had it.
There's Turm now. Turm.
As he's done this, he looks over at Enid And he's sad for 2 reasons. Don't want to guess what those 2 reasons are.
A, that he's just been really horrible to her.
You missed the opportunity to tell her off for making a noise.
Oh, is it because she said something? Did she say something without permission?
You're not far off. So he's sad because, first of all, to see that Enid has lost her colour and appearance.
Well, she has been walking in complete silence for about 4 years at this
She's
point.
been dragging around 9 dead knights at his behest.
She's looking a bit less hot. And then the other reason that he was sad is because he realised she was right all along.
Thanks, finally.
Feminism. Wow.
Romance.
Okay. Well, it was a long road, but we got there in the end.
And then Geraint gets treated by the medical team back to full health. And then everyone around him is talking about these enchanted games, which came out of nowhere, right? And he stops eating because he's like, I bet they won't let me play the game.
He's a real live wire.
Stop being such a baby, Geraint.
And then his host is like, why aren't you eating? Why aren't you sad? If you want, we won't even play the games. He's like, no, I want to play the game. And I want you to show me the way. And so they go down to where the games are, and it's all misty, and there's hedges with stakes in, with man's heads on all the stakes, apart from 2. And then in the middle of the green is like 2 chairs, and on one of the chairs is a really smoking hot woman, but not Enid. I don't know who this woman is. And then Geraint is like, right, I'll come and sit in that chair with you. And she's like, you better not. That's actually my partner's chair. So he doesn't take kindly to people sitting in his chair. And he's like, I'm going to sit in his chair anyway. So he sits in his chair.
To what extent is this a game? I don't think this is really a game per se.
Is there any music playing while they're going to sit in these chairs? Because if it is, I might know what game it is.
And then, the person whose chair it is, who I'm not clear on, it's a knight or an earl, but it doesn't really tell me which one it is.
There have been so many at this point.
But the partner of this woman comes over and he's like, right, let's have a fight. And they break 3 lances. Again, they get through a bunch of lances. And then
Someone's sitting there. That's my chair. That's my space. You're sitting in my chair. Get your lance.
Get your lance. No one's sitting in that chair until someone's skull is on display.
Well, the computer's gone down, actually, so there aren't really any reserved seats on this. So, yeah. Kind of a free-for-all now.
And then the person asks for mercy off of Geraint because he's battered him. And then they just agree to never do the games again.
That was the games? How is it the games?
Yeah, and I don't really get what was enchanted. Oh, so then it does get a little bit enchanted because at the end of that, they're like, right, this game is gone from here forever. And then Geraint goes and get rid of that hedge and the stakes and the mist, actually. Get rid of the mist. And then they go, oh, that mist had to exist until whomsoever come and like.
This is like when a toddler tells you a story, Jenny. This is the most confusing thing. That mist had to exist
until someone could beat him in battle, beat him in a duel. Someone could out-duel him. Someone who can lance him up. So that mist can only go at that point. And then he goes, okay, well, that's what I did. And so they hand him a horn and he blows the horn and the mist disappears and everyone is reconciled. And Geraint returns to his own kingdom. And then he ruled successfully from then on and got praise and admiration for him and for Enid ever after.
Happy Welsh Valentines.
It doesn't say that he ever apologized to Enid. Said he'd go and do some work with the therapist.
I already blew all that mist off.
Got rid of the magic mist, so...
Isn't that enough of an apology? I said you were right.
And then I tried to crack on to someone else and there was some sort of magic mist. My head got turned.
So a little bit of harmless chair sitting, James.
I was just sitting next to that woman to test myself.
That chair was Casa Amor.
Yeah, exactly. Shall we to the scores?
Let's do the romantic Valentine's Day scores.
Yes.
I think I said that fine. No need to fix that in the edit.
Valentine's Day.
Thank you for saying it in a proper
Valentine's Day.
romantic Welsh accent. The first what's your first category?
Naming.
Okay. Well, you do this to me every time. They're all Welsh.
Geraint.
So that's quite good. And then there was Ollie Muir's,
Early Moors.
Count Doom. I think there's a Count Dorm. The Earl of Dorm. Alexander from the Traitors.
That he popped up a couple of times.
There's also people called Morgan Toot.
Morgan Toot.
He was one of the specialist medical practitioners that came and helped when Geraint was in a bad way.
Yeah.
There's also somebody called Gwalch Mai.
Oh.
Someone called Kai.
There was that guy, Ed in the Nude.
Son of Nude.
I didn't realise that 2 Ds meant
Double D, yeah. Yeah.
because I thought he was son of Nude, and I thought that would be funny, but then it wasn't that. It was just a different word.
Brennan Buchan, Short King.
Oh, bread and butter. Yes, the Short King. Yes. I did like the Short King. I liked the 3 short giants. They were good. Not exactly a name, though.
Enid.
Yeah, you've added a little Welsh twist to a name.
Yeah.
Come on, then. What are we going to give it?
I'm going to say it's a 3 out of 5.
Why?
Because I can't remember any of them.
Apart from Early Moors.
Apart from Ollie Moore's. Oh, yeah, I remember Arthur, King Arthur, the aardvark.
Yeah, they didn't repeat the names a lot, and so that I found it quite hard to figure out which Earl was being referenced.
Yeah,
So I
think
suppose I'll accept 3.
if you brought this as like a screenplay to a writer's group, they'd be like, there's too many different Earls in this. You can't just go to another location and have a different Earl appear. It's confusing.
I think Tennyson, according to Cliff Richard, I think Tennyson had condensed a few of the ending Earls together.
Earl Fusion from Alfred Lord Tennyson.
Was that his middle name?
I don't know. It's a weird way of saying it. It's like you remember halfway through his name that he's a lord.
Yeah.
Alfred Lord Tennyson.
Lord Tennyson.
Unless you were just surprised by him. Is it like saying absolutely?
That's going to sound a lot worse with a beep. Right then, okay. Well, let's go for supernatural then. I think next. What do you reckon?
Supernatural. Well, I was inclined to say quite low. I mean, yes, there were giants and there was a magic horn that blows off mists. But actually, I think Enid's love for Geraint cannot be explained.
It was almost unnatural.
It's beyond conception that she would love him that much, considering he was horrible almost all the way through. Okay, nice nipples, we understood, but come on.
Yeah.
So I think it's a 4 out of 5 for supernatural.
Thank you. Okay, good. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was thinking that it was going to be none, and then when I got to the giants, I was like, "Here we go."
Yeah.
And,
it's
thanks.
4 out of 5 for supernatural for Geraint's supernaturals. Next category.
Hit him, Jenny. Get him.
The next category is treat them incredibly, incredibly mean, keep them unexpectedly keen.
Yes.
Surprisingly keen. That was what I was meant to say, sorry.
It's like he's writing one of those awful advice books. It is very the game. Maybe that's the game they were playing at the game at the end was that book, The Game, where it tells you how to be horrible to women.
Yeah.
For fun and profit. Yeah, what an awful guy.
He's a PUA.
Yes, he is. But what he picks up are corpses of other knights.
That's not art.
It's a really terrible story, and I hope, because I know a lot of impressionable young men are listening to podcasts, and I assume most of them are listening to this one. Guys, no, don't do that. Don't treat women this way. However, it was shockingly effective, so it's 5 out of 5. But I don't want that to suggest that the Lawmen podcast endorses it. but you can't argue with results.
Oh, yes. No, don't. Anyone.
We're just presenting these really sexy moves to you for documentary purposes. We're not endorsing any of them.
Do better.
Well, I think we better get to our last category.
What is the final romantic category for this Valentine's Day episode?
The last category is midwife crisis.
Well, okay, I'm just going to do a quick sidebar here to explain to the listener. I came up with this one during the secret interval where we think of them, and I think it's really good. And I think Jenny has deliberately undersold it to make me look bad. So I don't think she's put any of the classic Collier...
The zing on it, the zip, the spin.
So now if I give it an instant 5 out of 5, I'm going to look bad. And people will be like, why did that one? That was a bit rubbish. But I think she didn't really sort of sell it.
Did I say it right? Did I not say it right?
No, you said it right. You said it right, but sort of just without passion.
Look, I know what it means, but I was just wondering if you could explain to the listener what it might mean.
Midwife crisis. So he has a big midlife crisis. And he's like panicking about his relationship.
Because of his tear-stained chest.
Yeah, and so he goes on this big sort of vision quest, sort of like gets a new outfit and tries to... I think it was quite a good one.
Yeah.
Fine. All right then. Yeah. 2 out of 5. If you don't think it's a good category.
No, wait, I just didn't get it.
It is.
I just didn't get it.
Nobody likes it.
Get it.
James, I told you to walk ahead and not speak to me. I'm furious.
But there's people here who are going to talk your scores down.
No. Don't speak to me. 2 out of 5. No, all right, 3 out of 5. I think it's a good category.
I think it's a good category now.
I think you should give it more. I think you should give it 5 because it's such a good category.
Well, I feel patronised now, but okay, 5 out of 5 for my category, midwife crisis. And if you thought that was good wordplay, please write in to say that I am good.
And if you didn't, then keep it yourself.
Yeah, or I'll whack you on the top of the head, right down to the tables.
Only to be stopped by tables. Thank you very much, Jenny, for another wonderful Welsh Valentine's experience.
Romantic.
Thanks for having me.
I've got a worry. I think we have surely bled the MabiSNOGion dry of romance. Yeah. Sound like that woman who's going to fix the horse. But yes, thank you very much. We'll find some more Welsh stories for next year. Don't worry.
Okay. Yeah, I thought you were dumping me then.
Oh no. I'm just managing the listener expectation. I'm managing the listener and my expectations that I just need to stop looking at the MabiSNOGion now because that is as close to romance as we had left. That terrible, terrible man. But thank you very much, Jenny. Where can people find more of you?
You can find me on Instagram at Collier and X, but I don't really use it anymore. So mainly Instagram, TikTok.
TikTok.
And I would say YouTube, but I'm not on it anymore because I've been deleted for no apparent reason.
Reinstate Jenny.
Reinstate me, please. If you could all club together and tell everybody at YouTube to sort me out, that'd be great.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Jenny.
Thanks, Jenny.
Are you going to walk up a mountain? Have you walked up a mountain?
I am going to do a trek in Patagonia, which is Welsh for Patagonia. And it's in aid of Valindra, which is a Welsh cancer centre. And they do loads of amazing work and it's an amazing cause. And a bunch of us are going to do this trek, which is 7 days. Some of them are 12-hour-day treks, carrying all of our pack with us, all our stuff.
Are you allowed to talk to the people on the trip?
And everyone's bitching about us up ahead, but I'm not allowed to tell anyone.
When is that? That sounds amazing. And where can people...
I've got a link to it on my Instagram, which is the Valindra page, and it's got all the information about the trek and about the centre. I have to raise £7,000.
Holy macaroni.
Yeah, that's actually a bit over optimistic, so I may have overshot my load.
I think that's what that phrase means, yeah.
And I'm trying to do some training as well, because I've done like day hikes, but I haven't done 7-day, 12-hour, blah, 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 blah. But it should be good. It should be amazing. And I learned all about Mabinogion in primary school. And so I learned all about the pumas, because they've got pumas there, apparently. And had to grow crops. Also beautiful landscape and like glaciers and all this. And so that'll be really amazing. If anybody wants to sponsor me, that would be lovely, but no pressure. I'm not very good at asking for money.
Well, they can go to the website, and the website or the link will do it for you.
Yeah.
Let's all sponsor Jenny to see a glacier or whatever it was.
Fight a puma.
Fail to grow crops.
Pay Jenny and she will kill a puma for you.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Jenny.
Cheers. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.
What a romantic story, James.
Wasn't it just, though, because there was all that horrible man stuff in there?
Yeah. A lot of murder. A lot of people getting chopped on the top of the head.
Yeah, that was pretty grim. Happy Valentine's, everyone.
Yeah, chop your top off. It's Valentine's.
Yes. And please do sponsor Jenny. We'll pop a link in the thing. Go and check that out and see what it's all about. And thank you very much for listening to us. Thank you very much to Joe for editing this episode.
Cheers, Joe.
If you would like to join the LoreFolk, you can do it at patreon.com/LoreMenPod. If you want to give us a review, that's a good thing.
Yes,
that's
actually,
a nice thing.
Give us a 5-star review.
And it does do something, apparently, I read recently. Well, I was thinking that's the sort of, that joke that's worth being recorded.
Quick, get the recorder going. Say something about tortellini again.
So I've had a delicious dinner of tortellini. It really was delicious. Yes.
I always thought tortellini would be a good name for a tortoise who was a magician.
That's lovely stuff.
There we go. You can drop that in literally any episode. That's the good thing about that.
Yeah.
Natural, off the cuff observation.